there, it's Christine Collins, and I'm going to share with you today some really cool info and background on some of the physiological things that happen in our brain and in our body as we are doing practices like Yoga Nidra, like hypnosis, things where we're getting very deeply down into places of relaxation. And there are some pretty incredible benefits for us when we can get into those places of relaxation. And so among the many things that hypnosis, yoga nidra, meditation can do for us, there are actually these cool side effects that we may not even think about all the time as we're using these wonderful magical tools. So one of the things that happens when we are deeply relaxed is that the state of our brainwave activity actually begins to shift. So when we are fully awake and very alert and doing things like talking or writing or active things, we are in a beta brainwave state, and that's a very alert, awake state. Now, when we slowly begin to go down into some of these deeper brainwaves through tools like hypnosis and yoga nidra, we usually go next down into the alpha brainwave. And this is kind of like a little twilight. It's in between being fully alert and in between being fully asleep. And this is a place where we become very deeply relaxed. And our body's relaxation response kicks in, the parasympathetic nervous system that kind of slows everything down and shifts us into rest and digest starts to take effect instead of that very hyper and alert state. And when we're in this place, we begin releasing serotonin. In case you're not familiar with that, it's a neurotransmitter in the brain that causes us to be more relaxed, more chill, more zen, more calm, and can do wonders for things like anxiety and stress. And then from there, if we are still in it and we're still participating in it and going even deeper, the next stage down is a theta brainwave. And this is kind of like your REM sleep state. So you're not asleep, but you're definitely not fully awake and alert. You're much more deeply relaxed in theta. And you're having, it's kind of almost like a dream state. And sometimes, this has actually happened to me, like accidentally dozing off, like maybe watching TV or something. And you start to kind of have like almost little dreams and seeing, maybe images, and you have kind of these short bursts of imagery because you actually have slipped into the theta brainwave. And in this state, we're down to about like 4 to 8 thoughts per second. So things have really slowed down and we are deeply relaxed. This is also a state in which we begin to experience things like emotional integration and emotional release. So it can be very healing on an emotional and on a physical level. And then the final state is delta, which is almost like you're asleep, and it's a deeply restorative state. Obviously, we know the importance of sleep and rest for our bodies as well as for our minds and our brains. And being able to go down into these brainwaves intentionally without doing like our 8 hours of sleep, which is also very important, but we're doing this through the process of meditation, yoga nidra, or hypnosis. And we're actually getting a deep level of rest in a relatively short period of time, and it's extremely restorative. So we have our organs are regenerating, we're kind of resetting our homeostasis, kind of getting our bodies back to a reset point. We're also having cortisol removed from our system. So if you're not familiar with cortisol, it is often known as the stress hormone. It's released when we're under a lot of stress. And when we're in the delta brainwave, some of that is being kind of removed. And so it's actually a process of reducing stress and restoring our bodies and our minds. And then there's even a sub-delta wave where there's no thought taking place. There's really nothing happening. It's pure regeneration. And it's kind of a place of surrender. It's a place of bliss and rest. And it's really important that as we're using these very powerful, very regenerative tools, that we walk through these phases guided by a practitioner who is familiar with guiding us through these waves, and then also, very importantly, bringing us back at the end. So after we've progressed through these different brain waves, we've had this beautiful, delicious rest and relaxation where our bodies are being restored, our minds are getting a little vacation, and then we're gently guided back so that it's not abrupt. It's done very carefully and very gently to really help to bring us back to our full awareness, full alertness before we step back into the things that we have to do in the day. Now, there are a lot of studies and research about hypnosis, about Yoga Nidra, about the health benefits of using some of these relaxation tools. It can do a lot of things. We've already talked about serotonin being released, decreasing anxiety. GABA, which is another neurotransmitter, is also released in this process. Then that can help with anxiety and depression and even things like cardiac stress, high blood pressure, ADHD, and insomnia. Eating disorders, alcoholism. That's a very long list of health issues that can benefit from practicing some of these relaxation tools. And we're obviously going to see a boost in our mood. And, as someone who struggles with anxiety, perhaps you are as well, or depression, or any other type of mood challenges, practicing something like this that allows you to become deeply relaxed and progress through these different brainwaves intentionally can be incredibly restorative and so beneficial for helping to manage those things and improve those things over the long term. Essentially, we're kind of hitting a reset button and helping to return some of these different body systems to their balance and to their optimal state. So it's really giving us a lovely and very easy way to boost our health, boost our mood, boost our well-being, both mentally and physically, without really having to do anything super challenging. It's actually just very relaxing, and it's so good for us. Sometimes the most challenging piece is simply setting aside the time and allowing yourself the deliciousness of that relaxation, and just remembering that it is an important part of self-care. And not only is it something that feels good in the moment, but it is also good for you mentally and physically. So I hope you found this as fascinating as I do. I love talking about this stuff. And until we meet again, I hope that you have an absolutely magical and creative rest of your day.